Hello and welcome to the Gab and Jules show. No Gab Marco today. So look who's with me, Don Hutchison. Don, thank you so much. There's a lot to talk about this weekend in the Premier League, especially in all around Europe. Loads of penalties missed.
Amazing penalties
missed. Which is crazy. Initially, let's be honest with the listeners and people who watches the show. We wanted to go with Aston Villa, Manchester United as the main segment.
We couldn't.
We were on cock crumbs. But we are actually... Let's wait to see what happens in the Brighton Tottenham game. And that was the game of the weekend by far in the Premier League. What was your first reaction to it?
The first reaction was Tottenham were brilliant for 45 minutes and I couldn't see any other scoreline. I thought they'd run away with it 4 or 5. And then Hutchison made a change at half-time. He took off Kadioglu and put Estepinian on at half-time, which made them a little bit more solid, a little bit higher up the pitch to try and attack Tottenham because they were playing through the lines too easy. But what a response in the second half. I mean, I don't think anyone's seen that result coming when Tottenham were winning 2-0 at half-time, but they completely fell apart.
They were so dominant, Spurs. They pressed so well. Solanke, Maddison, it was wave after wave. Brighton could not do much, although Welbeck has a good chance, on that Mitoma cross, first of all. How do you explain, in a way, the change, even in attitude from a Spurs fan? Is it a bit, from a Spurs player, is it a bit of complacency from them? It seemed that they stopped pressing at the start of the second half. Certainly not like they used to Is that Ange saying to the boys, let's control that game now?
No, I don't think Ange has got that. Not from what I've heard from inside the training camp. He's a very front-footed manager. He would have smelt 4 or 5, I think, like any one of us. But I think what changed when they give a goal away, and people talk about plan B, and I understand that, but I look at either the manager or the players on the pitch smelling the game and recognising the game. So if you're playing at right back and you're Pedro Porro, and we've just gone to 2-1, and momentum's gone against us, and you're playing on the right-hand side, Jules, where's the leader saying to Porro, stay there for 5 minutes. Yeah. Stay in a flat back 4. A doggy, you do the same, because we're under it here. And in 5 minutes' time, once we get regain of sort of possession and control again, then you can go and do your things by going inverted. Tottenham can only play one way. Yeah. And when they're good, they're good. But we've seen when Newcastle tore them apart a few times over the years, then when they're bad because you can hurt them, because all their fullbacks go inverted, they commit bodies forward, they try and press, they try and score, and they're very, very open. And that's what Brighton exposed in the second half.
I just don't understand the in-game management.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, from the players and the experienced ones, like, I don't know, like a Romero, like a Maddison. Van der Ven even.
Bentancur in midfield. Yeah. Stop running around, stand still.
I know. But Ange, I looked at Ange after the first goal, the first Brighton goal. Yeah. No reaction. No. After the second goal, no reaction. No. The third goal, no reaction. He looked like he was frozen on the touchline.
I think what he is, Jules, he's a manager that likes to leave a little bit to the players. Like, you figure it out, which is commendable. I quite admire that. But when things are going against the 11 that's on the pitch, your job and your responsibility is to see how the game's going. Now, offensively, all the coaches and backroom staff put so much into games going forward because that's the creativity. That's what we love watching. We love watching goals. But defending is an art, and defending comes from the coach, the manager. That's your responsibility. So when you look at how the game's going when they're going forward, yes, that's a part of Ange and his coaching staff, but defensively, that should be quite easy for you to try and fix on the sideline, or you say to the players that we've just mentioned, the Bentancurs, to stand still for 5 minutes, or the centre-halves like Romero, Van der Ven, by pulling your fullbacks in. Yeah. And then once you go through a 10-minute period and you've kept it at 2-1, if you've lost a goal and you kept it at 2-1, then you go, right, we've got a foothold in the game again. Right, now we can go and press, and now we can go forward and get more goals. They don't. They just absolutely fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, we discuss a bit more Spurs on the Gab and Jules podcast later after, but let's give some love in this first segment to Brighton as well, and Fabian Hutchison, who's a young coach who I think paid to learn at Chelsea the previous weekend, where
all over the place. Yeah,
his old tactics was wrong. And in that first half, I thought, maybe he hasn't learned so much from Chelsea, but he corrected everything at halftime.
He did.
This is a good team with good players. Mitoma is good, Welbeck is good, Baleba is good in midfield. He's a player that we both love a lot. They deserve a lot of credit for how they came back into that game.
Not 100%, because they could have fell apart after the Chelsea result and performance, but he made that change at halftime where he changed the fullback over, which made them a little bit more solid for a period. And then Estepinian's a great player when going forward. He then started playing well. I got Mitoma on the ball, got Welbeck some chances. And I think it was more the momentum. So great from the manager that he must have instilled some team talk at half-time. Because at 2-0 down, that must have been difficult to stand there after the Chelsea result and performance to try and deliver that inspiring team talk to get his players going. But what he's got, because he's only 31, and he's probably got 4 or 5 players that are older than him, definitely. Danny Welbeck being one of them, and James Milner, obviously, who probably would have said something as well. So he's got a good chunk of experience around him to help him in the team talks and help that environment. But you're right, they deserve a lot of credit for coming back, because they could have folded.
And I was really happy for Jorginho Ruta, not just because he's one of mine, goal. But his goalie took it well. I thought his all more linker play. And I'm just not sure still what his best position is as a lone striker, as a second striker, maybe slightly wider. I just think he's got so much talent. And I know it was a lot of money, £40 million. It was his release clause.
Yeah.
Because from what we saw at Leeds, he was never maybe the most convincing or the most consistent either. But I think he showed in that game what an all-around forward he could be and how good he could be in some games.
Do you know what? I was on a train when Leeds played Chelsea in the Cup, and I was on the train going home, so I got my head down, I put my cap down like that. It was full of Leeds fans, and they were chatting about Ruta. And it was an amazing conversation to listen into, because the part of their conversation was they didn't really think he was that good of a player.
Yeah.
But ironically, whenever he played, he made the team better.
Yeah.
So they felt as though he missed loads of chances, and he was a little bit wild, and he was a little bit chaotic. But they thought whenever he played, he sort of linked the play, and the team looked a little bit better and sharp, and he got them up the pitch. So it was fascinating to listen to fans having this conversation about the same player that we're talking about. And now, because he's young, he might be getting them experience. Now he's joined a club that might suit his style, where Leeds over the years has been a little bit fast and a bit chaotic. Now they're a little bit more sort of controlled in their possession, a lot more sort of patient, and that might suit him, because his goal, as you said, when he bounced off a doggy, was amazing finish really on the angle, left foot, bottom corner.
Let's just finish quickly on Ruta, because I know there was a few eyebrows raised when he was signed for all that money, I understand. Well, Brighton said that outside of the goals and assists and maybe the stats that people look at first, they looked at more underlying stats that they do in their recruitment team. And he was outstanding in almost every department in terms of runnings and pressing and press resistant, all of that. And you saw that yesterday, even in the first half, where Brighton were under pressure so much because, as we said, Spurs played so well and pressed them so high and so well. There was a few turns from him in that first half where, under pressure, somebody right behind him or two guys behind him, and he would still manage to keep the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that's why also you pay that much money. Yeah, you expect the goals and assist tally to improve, but you already know that the core of his game is there to suit your team, like you were saying earlier.
Well, that's why I think it's so important when the analysis and the data comes in, because it's all getting, not brand new, but it's sort of new to people like myself who are pretty old school, and you look at the player and you watch the player over a period of time, and then you have an opinion, your form of opinion, where you go, this is his strength, this is his weaknesses, but all the data's showing. And actually, when you take the goals away and sometimes the assists away, what's he doing for the team? And then that's where the data and the analysis comes in, where you say, well, actually, being a young player, his attributes are going to get better, and his goal stats and his assists and goal involvements, etc., will all get better. So again, Brighton, clever recruitment. They seem to be far away ahead of anyone else in their recruitment over the years. It's amazing how they keep on doing it. But I'm pleased for more the player, because when you get bought for big money and you're under pressure, and people like myself and journalists like yourself, you have an opinion on what you see, but it's nice to see when a player starts hitting form, and especially when you watch young players start to hit form, you think amazing for them, because that's what they're in it for.
Another young player, still young, who had a big move to Tottenham was Brennan Johnson, obviously a year ago, second season now. 6 goals in 6 games in a row where he scores at least 1 goal. Incredible.
Amazing. Amazing. And how nice is it for a player where he had to get off social media because he was getting abused, which is absolutely awful. But he'd done the right thing. He went, this space is no good for me. I'm going to get off it. I'm going to concentrate on my football. He looks a lot freer. And then again, it's great when you look at a player who's been through that little bit of trouble and he's coming through it, and the goals, because he's a player, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's an amazing player. Like he plays right side, but he plays like sort of an old-fashioned sort of right-sided player where he's sort of an inside forward, they used to call it, even well before my day, an inside forward.
You see on his goal yesterday, for example.
Exactly. So he comes off the right-hand side, he smells a high line, and he bends his running arc because he's running behind, and his form is amazing.
Yeah, that finish with his left foot is sweet as well. When you score like that, so he didn't obviously score at the start of the season, then there was the North London derby, and then the abuse came.
Yeah.
When you start scoring like this, is there a feeling that you go into every game?
Every game.
And you just almost know you're going to score, because the one chance you're going to have, you're going to bury it like he did.
It's a feeling that you can't really describe. I remember being at Liverpool, being a really young player, and I got in the side, and I kept on scoring every single week. And I wasn't particularly playing well, but I had a sort of strength. I had a strength where Jan Molby and Ronnie Whelan were the 2 players I was playing with.
Yeah.
And my strength, because I was 19, was I'm going to run, because these guys are better than me at playing, because they're far better and they're far more experienced, so I can provide the legs. And I was scoring like every single week. And I was coming in before a game thinking...
And you could feel it,
could feel it. I'm going to score today. Whereas when you're going through a bad patch, you think, oh man, I get a chance to... So it's like it's that sort of that energy that you can't buy, and it just comes to you when you're in good form. You feel confident, you'll make the run, Because Brennan Johnson, maybe 7 games ago, might have thought, well, I'm not really getting too many chances. What I'll do is I'll hang out wide a little bit because I want the ball at my feet. Where now he's thinking, well, I'm going to score, so I'm getting in there.
Yeah.
It's very hard to try and describe, but it's just something that you sort of smell where you think, I'm on fire, I'm going to keep going.
And it's funny because I think with Son being injured now, Richarlison also being injured, Odegaard being also injured. So 3, Odegaard that started a couple of games in the Premier League, Son is Son. Okay, Richarlison is a little bit different, but so that's the options that Ange and Spurs don't have anymore.
Yeah.
In the squad right now on the bench. So almost Brennan Johnson had to step up in a way because Solanke is good and gave the assist. Timo Werner is on the other side. I mean, in that first minute, the cross from Werner on the left, this is a simple cross, right? We agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to be unkind on Timo Werner, but you can't help it because you want him to succeed, Timo Werner, because he's so
defended him before the game. So, he's not a bad player.
Well, no, he's a good player because he's got loads of strengths. The Man U game, he could have scored 3 or 4.
Yeah, he should have.
And there was one moment in the game where it really summed him up, and he was down the left-hand side with about 10 minutes to go at Old Trafford, and he ran away from a Man United player, and he ran about 50 yards, box to box, and all he had to do was find a Spurs player, and he missed them both and give it to a Man United player. And you're like, I really want you just to do well, and I think everyone does because you can see it when he gets interviewed. He's so great to interview.
Yeah,
he's so sincere and he's so passionate, definitely. And he's quite quiet, but you can tell he wants to do well, and he comes from a sort of good place. But that pass you said is quite an easy one, so that's a technique thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think at his age he's going to find the goals, as in he's not going to turn it 20 goals a season, man.
I agree.
Because he proves that he can't finish, but he stretches games. So that's why Spurs are playing him. That's why Spurs have signed him. But it should have been a simple pass. That's technique on his left side, and that would have been another one for Brennan Johnson.
You see Johnson's reaction.
You
almost can't believe.
And he didn't want to slaughter him neither, did he?
Because he'd been like, it was 30 seconds in, and he looks at him and like, really? How did you miss?
Because in our day, it would have been one of them.
Yeah. It would have been.
Yeah, and it's
Brighton came back, we said.
Yeah.
Maybe the lack of leadership that we saw in that second half from a Spurs point of view, where we were discussing it, preparing for the show. Okay, there's Ange on one side. I think we agree on the lack of plan B or C or D, whatever letter you want to put after A. When A works great and they create chaos in the opposition's team and they go and score, lovely. But if that doesn't work, or if they are under pressure and on the back foot, then they've got no reaction. He needs to sort that out. On the other hand, Brighton seems to have Danny Welbeck as a leader. Even when things were not going well, he was still the one going and chasing ball and encouraging everybody. He was very good in that second half again.
Yeah, he was very good. He got interviewed after the game at Premier League, and Paul Scholes and Tim Sherwood, Glenn Murray interviewed him and they said, what's happened to you, like in terms of like you're staying away from injuries? And he gave a great interview. He was very honest. He said, I think when I was at Man United, he didn't sort of say this, but I sort of read between the lines, and I've been there myself at Liverpool, where you're surrounded by sort of really good players, but the culture's not great because you're just a young boy and you get sucked in. And I think Danny Welbeck, and he said some of it I couldn't help. I got really bad injuries. Can't sort of legislate for. They weren't muscular. There were sort of bad injuries from knocks. And I think he sort of was alluding to when he was young, he sort of led his life a little bit different to how he's living now. And that is experience, Jules. You get a little bit more wiser. It's wisdom. And it happens to players when you get older, like Danny Welbeck is now. He's now looking after his body. He's probably eating the right food. He's probably training a little bit better. As he's into his 30s now, he might not be training so hard. He might have the odd day off. It might be swimming, might be cardio, might be weight. So everything that he's doing at the moment is the best for him. And you sort of, he'll think it in 4 or 5 years' time when he retires. And I always think it, I wonder what you could have been when you were younger.
Yeah.
But you can't be because you can't get out of that. And that's the life that we all make a million mistakes when you're young. But it's great to see him now, experienced player, loads of wisdom, playing well.
I didn't expect him to have that great of the season, really, when you think about it. Whether it's as a second striker with Rutter or somebody else, as a lone striker himself. With Joao Pedro, with Evan Ferguson at some point, he's going to come back as well. They will have a lot of options. Just to finish on the Brighton Spurs game, Spurs are 9th in the table. This is their worst start in the Premier League season for 16 years now. How do you see the next few weeks coming, and how do you think this season is coming? Well, does Ange need to change something to get to top 4, for example, or win something?
Well, I think the damning stat from the weekend is when they've been 2-0 up Spurs, not just under Ange, they've given it away 10 times.
Yeah.
So that's where this sort of Spursy tag sort of comes from, which it is what it is. Ange has to fix it. Mm-hmm. He has to fix it for sure. He'll also be pulling, I think, one or two experienced players into a meeting and saying, listen, I can give you all the instructions, but when the game's going against you, can you fix it on the pitch? That's what we term leaders, right? Who's going to sit in front of the back four? Are you going to pull your fullbacks in a little bit tighter? So that needs to come from Ange in terms of the setup in a game, and maybe he needs to get across to the players when we are 2-0 up, or when we are 1-0 up, or 3-0 up, or 3-1, whatever the scoreline is. You need to recognise where you're at in the game. And you need to recognise when a team's coming on strong and they're putting you under pressure, what do you do? How do you fix it? I can try and fix it, and he should, but it's a little bit on you. But my take is still a little bit positive, because you go from the Man United game. I agree. You go from the Man United game, where they were outstanding, into this game. And I honestly think, Jules, this is going to be Spurs under Ange. I think they're going to win 4-3, and I think they're going to lose 4-3. But it's better than Conte, and it's better than Mourinho.
I agree.
So if you're a Tottenham fan and you're paying your money, yes, you're hugely disappointed against Brighton. But you ask one Spurs fan after the Man United game, do you think Ange is doing a good job? Everyone would have said absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And I just don't think it needs much to make sure that the roller coaster at times just stop and that they stay on top, for example, because I think they've got enough talent and quality in their squad to be able to just tweak things slightly. I mean, I don't think he helps himself. Yesterday before the game, I don't know if you saw, but he was asked, it looks like it's going to be a very open game. What do you do to control it a bit more? And he said, well, no, we don't control it. We just let it open, be entertaining, and hope for the result. Well, no, Ange, this is not how it works here.
It's not. But at the same time, the contradiction to that is it was very boring under Jose.
No, okay.
And Conte was very boring. I get it.
True, but then you 2-0 up, and then you lose 3-2. And
I know. No, I'm totally with you. I'm just sort of half thinking, what do you want as a Spurs fan? You want the perfect world.
True.
You want your football with a little bit of Jose and a little bit of Conte.
Maybe a bit of balance,
Exactly, balance. That's
and for Brighton and Hutchison?
Oh, I mean, what
they've played already. They've played
6 in the league.
Arsenal. They've played Manchester United. They've played Chelsea. They've played Spurs now.
Doing great.
Yeah,
carry on. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job. As we said before, he's very blessed, Hurtsler, that he's got experience. He's got the likes of Danny Welbeck and James Milner. Veltman, lots of players that he can rely, Dunk that he can rely on. So I think he's doing a great job. 31, having 6th in the Premier League. Amazing.
Right, enough Brighton and Spurs. What about some quickies done?
Let's do it.
Eric Ten Hag at Manchester United, where he seems happy with the draw at Aston Villa on Sunday. Is it enough to save his job?
Do you know what? It probably is.
Somehow.
I don't know. It probably is. I mean, if Ineos had anything about them, they'd have sacked him after the Crystal Palace game last season. The fact that he won an FA Cup, they probably still should have sacked him, because they should see the bigger picture. And now he's got the worst start in any manager last season. Now he's got the worst start of any manager.
Beat his own record,
Beat his own record this season. I mean, it's incredible. They can take a little bit of solace from a clean sheet, but did anyone see that starting 11? Johnny Evans, Maguire, 7 of his signings on the bench.
I know.
So how's he come up with that combination? £300 million worth of players on the bench.
Mad. He said it was rotation for Lisandro Martinez and Matis De Ligt.
For who? Holland and Argentina. We haven't got a game, Man United.
Eric. You know.
It's madness.
I just don't understand what he does. For me, Don, I mean, he's lost it, I think, a long time ago. I just don't think he was ever good enough.
Same.
Really. I know the first season was good. They won the League Cup against your beloved Newcastle in the final, and then finished second or third, whatever it was. Okay, maybe. But I just never thought he was good enough.
I don't think he inspires.
There's nothing.
Do you know the weird thing is when you listen to Eric Ten Hag speak, he sees a completely different game than you do, than I do, and all the fans around the world.
He's in denial.
So it's like, what game do you see? You must have such thick skin to believe in trust the process. Trust the plan. Well, what's the plan? What's the plan?
Stick to the plan, he said.
Stick to the plan. Can't be bottom half of the Premier League and
14th.
Bottom half of the Europa League. That can't be the plan.
14th done. They got difference is -3 already.
Don't score goals. They finished last season -1 goal difference or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he can lean on the fact that he's won a couple of trophies, and credit to him for doing it, and well done for doing it. But the bigger picture is, they're so bad.
I think they're so average. They really are.
And he doesn't inspire to me. Like I always think the managers that have played under, people like Walter Smith and Graham Souness, really, Kenny Dalglish, these guys that can inspire you in a team talk. And I wonder what Ten Hag says to his players that really gets them going before the game. What words do you inspire these players with?
I don't know. I mean, Villa were flat on Sunday, probably because of the Bayern, the highs they go to. Which never really found their rhythm, did they?
No.
But from a United point of view, maybe that's what he does now. He goes away like that and just.
Do you know if that's the plan, and you go to teams like Villa, who are obviously better than Man United at the minute, then well done. But the other teams in the Premier League, you've got to start beating them.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be, as a Man United boss, in the top 4, top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5, top 6, I think is optimistic, but that's their level at the minute, if they can actually get there.
I know.
It's crazy, but it's just such a bad watch.
Yeah.
Real Madrid beat Villarreal on Saturday, Jules, but lost Dani Carvajal.
Yeah, bad injury, really bad. He did his ACL like you did, like Rodri just did. And it's not just a massive loss for them, obviously. It is also for Spain, for him. They have only Lucas Vazquez really as a right back, so I don't know where they go now in the January transfer window, if they want to sign an emergency player right now. There's obviously the Trent name and rumours.
That's going to be speeded up now, isn't it?
It should be.
Trent on a free at the end of the season. What I heard, I don't know what you heard about Real Madrid, but I think they respected and loved Carvajal so much. They sort of wanted to look after him a little bit. This is before the injury, so they were
absolutely
not second thoughts, but just having doubts whether bringing Trent in might upset Carvajal.
Yeah, and the dressing room,
But now he's done his ACL, that might speed that up.
Yeah, because that's him out for 10 months? Easily, something like that. So
I wonder if Valverde could play there, or
maybe. I mean, Lucas Vazquez for now, but he's really not that. I guess you can always play a Militao, a right back, maybe one of the centre backs. But it's really
bad loss, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a horrible picture. Whenever I see someone do an ACL,
I've
seen Rodri live and I was like, he's done his ACL because I've been there. And then I've seen the sort of still image of the way. It's awful.
Definitely. Don, Liverpool beat Crystal Palace on Saturday 1-0, and Arne Slot continues his near perfect start of the season. But again, they gave away some chances. And talking about injuries, they lost Alisson and McAllister.
Yeah, McAllister I don't think seemed too bad. I think he had something at half time. Yeah. But Alisson's obviously looked as though he's done his hamstring again. So I'm never that worried when Kelleher comes in though, Jules. Whenever I watch him, I think he's really calm. The game was a weird one because 12:30 kickoff, Palace, who their fans are amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Their tactics were awful.
Because most of the game,
but for 45 minutes I was thinking, like, can't you just play Mateta from the start and can't you boom some long balls in the box and put Van Dijk and Konate under pressure? Their tactics were, we'll sit off Liverpool, we'll allow them to have all the possession, and you go, well, that doesn't really make sense. Then Liverpool scored.
That didn't work.
And then Jota missed a sitter.
Yeah.
Then Jota missed another sitter with his head. Then Salah missed a sitter. So, they give up a few chances, but in truth, Liverpool should have won it by 3 or 4. Van Dijk was so good, Jules.
Yeah, him and Konate. For all the Saliba-Gabriel talk, which I think is also fair, there's no problem. They've only conceded 2 goals in 7 Premier League matches. And I know they haven't played anybody good. But still.
You've done a slot there.
Played no one good there. United.
Jules, after their defeat against Villa, how did Harry Kane and Bayern react against Eintracht Frankfurt?
One of the games of the weekend.
What a game.
This Eintracht Frankfurt Bayern Munich on Sunday afternoon, if you haven't seen it, finished 3-3. Bayern played so well, let's be honest here.
The strip was awful.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah.
It was awful.
But they actually dominated the game. They had, I think, 25 shots or something ridiculous like that. But Frankfurt are a really, really lovely team. Dino
scored some good goals.
Yeah, really good goals. On the counter, didn't get much of the ball, I think 25% at home. But on the counter, super efficient. Marmoush, amazing start of the season. Best player so far in the Bundesliga. And Ekitike, my boy from PSG. And then Bayern came back, thought at 3-2 up that they would see the game out. But no, didn't, because the late goal from Marmoush, really, really entertaining stuff. And for Aston Villa, and for Bayern, after the Aston Villa defeat, the Bayer Leverkusen draw, this is another draw. Harry Kane, no goals in 3 now for him. So
the papers are saying over there, but Vincent Kompany being a defender,
the
problems that they got is defensive.
Yeah, they're too attacking at times.
Which is crazy from an ex-centre-half trying to fix the problems with Bayern. How you can't get them clean sheets.
Done. We've got more quick hits even.
Let's do it.
Fulham made their trip to the Etihad. Very competitive on Saturday despite losing 3-2. Did City get away with one here, Don?
Massively. Fulham were amazing. Adama Traore, he played so well in the game, but he missed 3 really good chances. But he was brilliant. Honestly, Fulham, if any manager's trying to take a blueprint on how and try to play against Man City, you'd watch Fulham and you go, God, they were brave.
Yeah.
From minute 1, they were brilliant. They had
the
good
best
chances.
In the first half.
I've went on record and I'll stand by it. The Raul Jimenez assist is the best assist I've ever seen in the Prem.
Certainly this season, yeah.
Well, I think in the Prem ever.
Really?
I've seen Dennis Bergkamp score some brilliant goals, and I've seen some amazing goals, but that was like beautiful.
Oh, incredible.
It was like finesse, it was like cultured, it was perfect. But the way they played Fulham, they were brilliant. At one point, Guardiola had to bring Kyle Walker on because he knew they were getting done from Traore. And then Kyle Walker got done as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he gave him 2 yards, spun him behind. Edison made the save, but Man City got lucky big time. Not because they didn't play well.
No.
They played quite well, but Fulham were just so good. They took the game to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was an incredible watch.
Remember, he scored 2 goals with Wolves at the Etihad 2 years ago against City. Similar template and tactics, but that time he finished on Saturday.
Did you see Pep grab him at the end of the game and give him a little coaching lesson?
Hey, just chill out when you get in front of goal. Just because sometimes he rushes it. The one where he takes it with his left foot. Yeah. The one where he beats Walker.
He should have went round the goalkeeper.
I know.
Do you know what Pep's saying there? When you play against Arsenal, slow down, go round the goalkeeper and make sure you score 3, yeah?
I'm sure
that's exactly what he's saying. AC Milan beat Fiorentina at the weekend, Jules. The main talking point over a pen.
Yeah, because they lost. They lost to 1. Gudmundsson, who we love. Alfred Gudmundsson scoring the winner for Fiorentina. But they had 2 pens in this game.
There was 3 pens in the game. I'm not sure any of them were.
3 pens. You're right. I'm not sure any of them were. Macmillan saved the Fiorentina one. Yeah. And then David De Gea. Remember him? United fans saving 2 pens. The first one from Theo Hernandez. Yep. The second one from Tammy Abraham. The controversy comes from the fact that neither of Theo or Tammy were the penalty takers. Yeah. And Paulo Fonseca said, hang on, our penalty taker is Pulisic. Why was Pulisic
called it a circus, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not having this circus anymore.
But you understand where Paulo Fonseca is coming from, right?
I mean, before the game. Crazy. I mean, unless Theo Hernandez has pulled rank, but then Tammy Abraham can't pull rank. They've been there 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So surely if you're the coach and you have your penalty taker and you get 2 pens in the game, you're thinking, why is he not taking one?
When he was still on the pitch, yeah.
Well, exactly. You might think he might have bottled it, but I don't think that's the case with Pulisic.
No,
the way he started
not.
it. No.
Yeah. So he's got a worldie as well in that game.
So it might just tell you a little bit about the sort of dressing room hierarchy, the lack of discipline, where they've gone against the manager's instructions.
There've been a lot of tensions between Theo, Rafael Leao and Fonseca as well already.
Absolutely.
Don Bukayo Saka was the star of the show for Arsenal at the Emirates against Southampton on Saturday, and Kai Havertz scored again.
Hey, everyone's eating their words on Kai Havertz, aren't they? I think me included,
I know. All of us, I guess.
Because he's such a good player and he's such a player that it's versatile, can play anywhere. And he plays this sort of hybrid false 9 where he's a midfielder, playing up front, dropping into the pocket.
He does everything.
He's great in the air. He's physically very strong. He doesn't mind a battle. He scores his goals, got good movement. But it's Saka. He's the man, Jules, isn't he?
Oh, so good.
I mean, everything. There's not one flaw in his game. Normally, there's no flaws in his game where he's durable. People get stuck in. Fullbacks give him a tackle. Yeah. He limps off at 5 minutes of the game. He's fit for the next one. He chops inside on his left foot. What he's got now, Jules, which I think is really impressive for a young player, he's started now to go on the outside. So instead of cutting inside all the time where he might be predictable and you can read him, he's now going chop right foot. So defenders now thinking what way is he going to go.
I know,
so
man.
It was another good win in terms of the result on Arsenal churning out the wins. But the last couple of weeks against Leicester and Southampton, performance is not amazing, but hey, if you're an Arsenal fan, who cares?
But on Saka, there's still that debate about is he world class, is he not world class? And I'm so bored about this world class thing or not. Of course he's world class. You can't put the numbers that he's 23 years old. He's been for 4 years now in the Premier League, putting great numbers on. How can he not be world class? This is stupid.
To be honest, Jules, I don't understand the question. I don't because if he's world class, well, what's Maradona and Pele and Cruyff and
but more in the sense that he's one of the best wingers in the world. This is world class. World class is you are amongst the best in the world in your position right now.
Well,
I'm not talking about other, past generations and past players, but right now there are not many.
So if the criteria is in your position, who's the best in that position?
Are you amongst the best, top 5 in the world now?
The answer is yes.
You can't Salah, you can't Lamine Yamal, maybe Dembele if you're happy.
Yeah.
But Saka is amongst the best 5. There's no doubt.
No, I totally agree. Your team, PSG, what's happening, Jules? They travelled to Nice on Sunday?
Yeah, and it was not too pretty.
Flat.
It was a bit flat. The first half was bad. I don't know again, but I think we've seen a lot of Premier League, Champions League teams.
How's your man Dembele?
Struggling a little bit post Champions League in the weekend. With City had a poor first half. Arsenal the same.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich, Leverkusen, Villa, Dortmund. A lot of teams like that. PSG were like that.
Come on, off. How's your man Dembele?
So off the naughty step.
Yeah.
Off the naughty step. Yeah. Back into the team. Officially, he was decent. To be fair, gave an assist to Nuno Mendes. It's one of those assists. It's a square pass, and then it's a great finish. It's a strike to finish it. PSG terrible in the first half, much better in the second half. I like Nice. They're full of energy. They've got young players. They've got loads of pace everywhere in all positions. It was a good game, but PSG now second in the table behind Monaco, who won at the weekend. So still a lot of work to do. Nottingham Forest denied Chelsea a 6th win in a row in all competitions, Don, while Nico Jackson could be in trouble, though, for that little argy-bargy at the end.
This was a game from my era, the 90s. 6 yellow cards. Chelsea in trouble again. He's a hothead, isn't he?
Yeah.
Nicholas Jackson. He's very emotional.
I
think he gave Milenkovic a bit of a slap after the game, but it was a fascinating game to watch because it was a proper old school game. Forest were really good in terms of getting stuck in, and they could have won it at the end. So both teams got into the game. Both teams only lost once.
Yeah.
Both teams in very good form. Chelsea's home form not so great. I think when you look at the bigger picture, the side and the squad that they've got. But still, I think it was a great game. But Jackson, he could be in a little bit of trouble. Might get a fine, might get a ban.
Yeah, I think
ban might be too harsh, or...
Don't know.
I
think they're looking to it for sure.
Yeah. Barcelona back to winning Wales, Jules?
Yeah, remember, they lost against Osasuna the previous weekend, and this time it was all about Lewandowski. Really scored a hat-trick in 30 minutes in the first half. Really remarkable. I mean, his form is great. His age now is 12 goals in 11. Well done to them. He could even have a fourth one at the end. It was a good save by the goalkeeper. And then they controlled the second half in a game that they were never really in danger, let's be honest. They played with a horrible shirt, though. I don't know if you saw.
Seen it.
Like green,
awful.
Green apple.
Don't know.
Terrible. But that didn't prevent.
Should be a points deduction, that.
Should be, you're right. But on fire, well done to Hansi Flick, a bit like the Arne Slot start of his campaign. Wonderful. And Lewandowski keeps on rolling. Paul Pogba will be able to play football again and train from January and then play competitive matches from March. Are you happy, Don?
I don't know. I've got mixed feelings because it's a little bit like athletes when they get done for performance-enhancing drugs. It's like, should they have a lifetime ban?
Yeah.
Should that be them absolutely finished? Should a footballer be absolutely finished? Well, you shouldn't take enhancing drugs for a start. So I think the ban getting sort of rescinded to just over a year. I think that's what he said.
Months, 4 years to 18.
But he served about a year, hasn't he? Just over a year.
Yeah, September 2023.
Yeah. That feels as though that ban should have been upheld or at least done at 2 or 3 years. It's almost like saying, well, you got, 3.5 years ban, but we're just going to make it a year. Good. I don't know. You want the player to have learnt his lesson for sure and never do it again. I guess where I'm coming from is if it happened once, bit of a ban, 2-year ban. If you ever do it again, lifetime ban.
Yeah.
I don't think you can keep on doing it. So hopefully for Paul Pogba's sake...
I mean, he says that it was food supplement that a friend gave him.
So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think Cass believed him that he was true in his word, that it was
because there was many little things that sometimes, especially in our day, weren't aware of. So the Vicks inhaler that's got something in it where it's not obviously not approved. So but you have to check it with your doctors. But if it's in your diet, how do you legislate for that a little bit? So
I'm just happy for him. I think
where do you think he might go? Saudi?
So he's still under contract with Juventus until 2026. So I think we all expect, and sources are telling ESPN that this is going to be terminated. Yeah. But both sides are happy. It's not like if Paul wanted to stay at Juve.
I think Motto will be happy. I think Juve will be happy.
And also, they built a squad without him in midfield because they thought he was going to be banned for 4 years and they would cancel the contract. They have other players. Maybe it doesn't suit either. I think the plan.
It sort of just makes sense.
Yeah.
Clean break.
And then MLS, Saudi, somewhere in Europe, going back to France, going back to England.
So I don't think anyone touches him in England. I know you disagree.
I just think he's an incredible player. And I know he needs the right structure and the right mentality for him because at times we've seen his technical ability, which is incredible.
Amazing.
Doesn't match maybe the effort that he puts in. So I understand that.
Yeah.
I still think he's only 31. I know he hasn't played for a while now.
Yeah. I look at him and I think it's MLS or Saudi. I think you could do really well there.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think if he wants to stay playing for France, which I think he wants to, and he's going to meet, I expect him to speak to Didier Deschamps very soon. He needs a competitive league then to be able to be called up by France. Imagine that. He's a Paris-born and bred kid.
Can't he go there?
I'll have him at PSG, man.
Marseille?
100%. I'll take
Marseille.
Paul. No, don't. Leave me alone. We all Rabiot. Paul, listen to me. Come to PSG. Paris is your city. It's your home. The Parc des Princes is your home. You'll be amazing.
You're going to take him out?
Yeah, I'll drive you if you want from Turin to Paris.
Leverkusen had another interesting afternoon on Saturday. Jules, what happened?
They played Kiel, Holstein Kiel, newly promoted Holstein Kiel, who got beaten 6-0 or 6-1 by Bayern Munich not that long ago. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to watch this and it's going to be great because I expect Bayer Leverkusen to play them out of the park, really. Yep. And it started like that. They were 2-0 up after, 20 minutes or so, Boniface. And then they just stopped playing. And, we talked about concentration maybe and Spurs at halftime against Brighton taking the game for granted or not being switched on for that second half. The same happened to Bayer Leverkusen. Just before the break, switching off, a goal on set piece. After the break, not really being on it.
Yeah.
going back to 2-2. And then, then they wake up. They had chances. They could have scored really 1 or 2 easily towards the end of the game. Didn't. And then you drop 2 points, just like this.
Wow.
You blinked, and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's mad, I think. At that level, Xabi Alonso not happy at all, and I can understand him. Almost like a professional foul, or I don't know how you like unacceptable behavior from professional players.
Right. Just switching off.
So bad,
complacency.
man. So bad. Don, I thought of you on Saturday because we had the Hutchison. I think about you a lot. But we had the Hutchison derby on Saturday. Another one. I mean, you played for so many teams. Between Everton and Newcastle.
Yeah.
What happened?
It wasn't a great game. It was one of these games where Eddie Howe must have been fuming watching the game because they got sucked in, Newcastle, to Everton's tactics. And they made it a bit of a fight. They made it a bit of a war. There was loads of controversy. Anthony Gordon going back to Everton. He had a penalty for Newcastle.
You knew he was going to miss.
I wasn't sure. I thought the banker was him getting a yellow card, but he didn't get one. But he kept his head somehow and then lost his bottle at the Gladys Street end with a penalty. And that was the loudest cheer of the afternoon. The Gladys Street end cheering that one of their former players, Anthony Gordon, missed a pen. Then there was another controversial decision, which in my mind wasn't.
Mine wasn't either.
It was Dan Burn who was sort of stretching for a ball, and Calvert-Lewin was just about to take the shot. And as he pulled his foot back, Calvert-Lewin, he's just about to volley it, and he volleyed Dan Burn. Both of them hit the floor. It was a little bit. It was more or less exactly the same as Calvert-Lewin on Lewis Dunk, or vice versa, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where Calvert-Lewin was taking the shot and he hit Lewis Dunk's ankle. Exactly the same against Dan Burn. So, yeah, I mean, it was an amazing atmosphere. Always is at Goodison Park, and it was lively. But I guess Sean Dyche should be the happier that he's come out with a point just to try and put another point on the board, trying to see the teams down at the bottom who are not winning games, trying to somehow stay in the Premier League because they go into a brand new stadium next year at Bramley Moore Dock, so they have to make sure they stay in the Premier League. So drop points for Newcastle, a good point for Everton. Really good point. Seville Derby duels, always a bit of controversy in that game. Except Betis under Pellegrini, they never win.
They never win it. That's 5 draws and 4 defeats now, including this one. They lost, and they were, I thought, well beaten by a Sevilla team that was much better than them. Although Sevilla had this really, really poor start of the season under Pimenta, the new manager. But in this game, it doesn't seem that Manuel Pellegrini, who's a good coach, I think, just can't do it. And I don't know if it starts now psychologically that everybody knows he can't do it. So, but I just find that incredible. And this one was away as Sevilla FC, if you want. So you can understand that they will be under pressure and the crowd, all of that. But yeah, incredible. 9 derbies now, no wins, 0 wins.
Incredible.
It is incredible. Another of your former clubs.
Another one.
Another one. West Ham finally managed to win at home. Well done to Julien Laurens.
Yeah, he needed it, Massively. No wins at home so far for West Ham against Ipswich, where you think and you look and you go, right, if they don't beat Ipswich even early on in the league, Lopetegui's going to be under pressure. But you know what he done? He played the players in the right position. So I don't know about you, but I love Jared Bowen.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's a number 9. I was chatting to Jermaine Defoe last night. We both said he's better on the right-hand side where he's facing goal. Absolutely. He played him on the right-hand side, and he played Antonio, who was massively impressive in the game, who led the line really well at 34. Kudos played on the left-hand side. They had the players in the right positions. They played with a bit of intensity in a game where they had to win. The fans were quite behind them, as they normally are. And they scored pretty early on in the game, which gave them a bit of help. Ipswich made lots of mistakes in the game. But from Lopetegui's point of view, he will look at that performance. He'll say, that's the bar. That's the bar that we've set. Now we've got to carry on playing. Got some fixtures coming up where they're going to be a little bit tricky, but he has to sort of win them to try and get away from the bottom half. But yeah, quite impressive. They played some good football as well.
So there's 4 teams who haven't won yet this season.
Yeah.
Gary O'Neill at Wolves.
Palace,
Glasner.
Ipswich.
And then Ipswich and Southampton. So McKenna and Russell Martin. Plus, I guess you can put Leicester and Cooper and Lopetegui and West Ham maybe in the mix of where if there's one manager to get sacked, I mean, Ten Hag is out of the competition. But who do you think
he's not even in the conversation? Ten Hag's not even in the conversation.
In his own league. But from the ones towards the bottom, who do you think is the most under pressure? I know I put you a little bit on the spot. That was not part of the show initially, but
it's difficult. I think Russell Martin springs to mind because they keep playing the same way all of the time. I don't mind what he sort of says, where he keeps saying, like, we've come up from the Championship and we've played a certain way, where I'm not just going to abandon that and play a completely different way. I get the process and I get what he's thinking, but you have to. Because you can't be this open.
I know.
And also in the game and I think he's referring to the game last week when they did quite well in the Premier League last week, but lost the game. But I said last night working on the Premier League, what you have to do is you have to manage a game. Now, when Southampton scored against Arsenal, within 4 minutes they give a goal away.
Yeah.
They give a ball away in the middle of midfield. And then all of a sudden you're back to 1-1 against a team like Arsenal. Then the momentum. We've seen the game.
After that goal, you knew.
Yeah, so what you have to do, you've got a 15-minute block where you've got to go defensive and say, right, if we have to get to half-time, or if we have to try and manage the game to try and get to whatever the timeline is, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But you go 1-1, you know what's happening. It's going to be 2-1. When you're chasing the game, it's going to be 3-1 or more.
Exactly.
So he's got to find a way. And he might be the one that's a little bit under pressure.
More than a Gary O'Neill, for example, where nothing seems to be his way.
Well, that's a funny one, Jules, because I interviewed Matt Hobbs, their sporting director, on 5 Live about a fortnight ago, and he said Gary O'Neill's not even in the conversation to be sacked. He's not under pressure. But that was 2 weeks ago. And then they've shipped so many goals, and the 5 goals at the weekend were awful. You sit at the rock bottom of the Premier League, where I don't think any of us would have had Wolves anywhere near the bottom 3. I wouldn't. So now they're sort of chasing it a little bit. So it'd be interesting to see if he keeps his job off the back of what the sporting director said to me. That'll be interesting. Marcus Thuram on fire at the weekend.
So good with Inter. Scored a hat-trick. The first of his career in the league. He had one with Gladbach in the German Cup a few years ago against the first round when they played those lower teams and everybody wins like 12-0 or something. That was him. But in the league, that was his first one. Now I think he's fully completed the transformation from being a wide player, which he was for a long time in his career, still plays there for France sometimes, to a proper number 9, whether on his own, whether with Lautaro Martinez up front for the front two of Inter Milan. He was outstanding, considering he got injured on his ankle early on in that game, kept playing until the 70th minute or something and scored his hat-trick. I'm so happy for him because he's such a great guy. So I think he might not play for France, which might not be a bad thing.
Such an all-round player, isn't he?
Yeah,
the only thing missing now, which you can keep adding these goals, not hat-tricks every week, because it's impossible. No, you keep scoring. Exactly, because you look at the player and you go, this guy can play on his own. This guy can play in a 2. He can lead the line on his own. Physically, he's good. He's a great runner, runs in behind.
And I think France will have to find a way of incorporating him even more because you look at his stats. I think he scored 2 goals in like 25 caps for France. He hasn't been nowhere near as good as he should have been, or certainly in terms of numbers. So that was really, really good for him. I just hope the injury is not too bad and he can keep playing and play for France. After 3 games in a row with a goal in the first minute in the Premier League, Brentford had to wait 75 seconds this time. Don, what happened?
Did you see what Thomas Frank said? We lost the toss. So they lost the toss. So that was the only reason they couldn't score earlier.
Did they? I didn't even notice that.
Exactly.
Oh my God, amazing.
No, I heard him say it after the game, which was quite funny, actually. They're on fire, aren't they?
Is there something, do you think, mentally that now, a bit like what I said about Brandon Johnson earlier in the show, where now that they're on that run of scoring early, they just know they will.
Well, when you win the toss and you go back to your centre half and you launch it up front, it's a great way to start. It's very much old school. It's very much old school. You've seen the last 10 years where you go back and you keep the ball. And Brentford go, no, we're going to mix it up. We're going to throw it in the mixer. We're going to cause havoc, cause a bit of chaos. And ironically, we were talking Ten Hag before, and I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I've always said I think the man to fix them is Thomas Frank.
I know you've said that a lot.
Because I think he'll organise them.
I think he's a really good coach.
Same.
Yeah.
He brings connection between the fans and the players. He brings the whole club together. Yeah. I think he's a super coach. I think he mixes the game up where they can go route one, they can keep the ball. They've got players like Norgard and Janelt in midfield who are good. You get people like Mbermo and Wissa when he's
Lewis
fit.
Potter on the left, great, outstanding.
But they work hard, Jules.
Yeah, they do.
If Brentford get beaten a game, you're going to have to work hard to beat them.
Is it a debate that often comes up? Can he deal with a superstar?
I think he can.
In a way?
Well, I
because he's never really had big egos and big superstars, right?
Well, I think if he can't, I think that's more detrimental to the players in that Man United dressing room. Because I've heard the conversation where someone said, that Man United dressing room would eat Thomas Frank alive. Yeah. And I've gone, well, that tells you a lot about the dressing room.
Yeah.
Because to me, if you're getting Thomas Frank in who can organise, you listen to your manager and you listen to your coach. Yeah. But he's the one where I think, and again, he might not be the man to win a title for Man United, but he might get you a little bit closer than Ten Hag, and it might be the next man for the work that he's put in place. In my humble opinion, I think he'd be ideal.
I think they thought about him in the summer. Although I think Brentford said they had no contact with United, never contacted them about Thomas Frank. I don't think Brentford would have prevented Thomas Frank this opportunity and stopped him going if he'd wanted to. But yeah, you're right. And I'm even outside of United, a bigger club than Brentford. I love Brentford and everything that they're doing.
Even Liverpool, he would have been on the conversation list.
I think clubs looking for coaches. In
might not be the number one candidate, but when you have 3 or 4 managers that you're going to choose from, I'd be surprised ever if Thomas Frank's not in a conversation for someone.
I'm with you.
Dortmund at it again. I mean, the most unreliable team I think I've ever seen.
Yo-yo season continues. This time they lost away at Union Berlin, who are not good. Let's be honest. I mean, Union Berlin worked really hard. They run a lot. They run like 126k or something crazy in the game as a team. But I just don't understand it. I don't get it. And maybe Nuri Sahin is just not good enough.
I think it might be in their DNA, because I think you look at all the coaches over the years.
Yeah, true.
Every time I've turned on and watched the Dortmund game, they'll beat loads of teams. They normally play Mainz and lose. It's like every season. It is. And now it's Union Berlin.
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, the weekend before against Bochum, they were 2-0 down, and I'm watching, and I'm like, how is this even possible with the players you have? And it was the same in this game. They were just horrific at times.
It's like it's in the fabric of the club, isn't it?
Yeah, but
a couple
of seasons players don't care. Because,
no, I don't know what it is.
As a player, I would be absolutely horrified by my own team's performance. I promise you.
And the Jekyll and Hyde performance.
But they don't seem to care, because otherwise they would fix it. I don't know why it's wrong.
I mean, the Bayern last day of the season a couple of years when Bayern won the league and Dortmund were cruising to about 10 seconds to go. That just sums them up.
Yeah,
but they're a great club, great side to watch.
But where do you go if you're they don't have an owner, but if you're like the sporting director or the CEO or the president? If you change again manager, I mean, maybe Sahin is not good enough. I don't know. But like, where do you go from there? Because you're right, it's not new. It's been like that for a few years now.
Yeah, it's just in the fabric of the club. I literally don't know how you fix it.
Alvaro Morata, who, as you know now, is a Milan player, is not happy after the mayor of Corbetta. This is an incredible story. Corbetta is a small, posh town near Milan, where Morata decided to live, where the mayor of that little town told the whole world on social media that Morata has moved into his town. You can just imagine Morata's business.
That's all right, but you don't give your address away, do you?
And his phone number.
And he's an Inter fan, apparently.
Yeah, he is as well.
I mean, only in Milan or only in Italy
absolutely
could that happen. What's he thinking of?
I don't know. I guess publicity for his town. Like, hey, look, we've attracted one of the best players in the world.
I could imagine that a little. Yeah, I could see that. But you didn't give the player's address away, do you? Surely not. I mean, that's illegal.
Oh, my God. And
crazy.
Corbetta is such a small town. It would be easily... You could find Alvaro Morata there, I guess, very easily once you know that he lives there.
Look for a coffee shop. You'll be in there somewhere.
Imagine? If you're in Morata, would you actually decide to move and just not decide to live there?
Well, no, but you can't stay in the same address that the mayor's just give you address off, can you? It's madness.
Oh my God.
He's trolled him big time, hasn't he?
Yeah, massive
it's amazing. Lassana Diarra is not a player anymore, Jules, but he's still getting the headlines. He might change the game forever.
Yeah, and I think, Don, this is we're just at the beginning of this whole story. But when he was still a player, he was playing in Russia, wanted to leave his club, was not allowed because he was still on the contract. So challenged FIFA, basically, went to court saying, listen, this is not normal that a player who wants to leave a club, even if he's still on the contract, is basically kept at the club against his own desire.
Right.
And the EU court, basically, to make it simple, on Friday ruled in favor of Lassana Diarra against FIFA, in the sense that as a player, you should not be not allowed to free yourself from a contract that you want to rescind, basically.
Yeah.
So it's only the beginning. There will be more appeal. I think there will be more context added to it, because...
So he's basically saying, because I'm not playing, I want to leave, and my contract should be
exactly. And the club can't keep me if they don't play me and I want to leave,
it's
basically.
Madness.
So that would change the whole, obviously, dynamic of how transfers are being made. Because if you can break down, like, terminate your contract the way you want because you're not playing, and just go anywhere else you want as a free, with no transfer fee, nothing, even if you still had 2, 3, 4 years in your contract, that changes everything.
And then how's the manager feel?
Exactly.
Knowing that your player's acting up and he's potentially wanting to leave. I mean, the only way I could half get on board with this is often you see a player who's, say, on like 49 or 99 appearances, and the club that might have to pay, I don't know, say Marseille, £5 million if Jules makes 100 appearances and you're on 99. We've seen it over the years you keep the player on. I could half get on board with that.
Yeah, I agree with it.
But it's a very dangerous precedent to try and set.
And I guess that would give a lot of power to the players, even more than maybe what they have now already, because they will be free to do whatever they wanted, basically. So I think there's more to come from that story, but I think it was important to highlight that. That's what happened on Friday. Don, thank you so much for coming and be with me this morning.
Great
I
shirt,
love having you.
Thank
you for you. I know you're a purist.
Yeah. Schneider.
So, Wesley Schneider for you people. Thank you for having been with us, for listening. And like Gab always said, love your neighbor, love the game, love yourself, or something like that.